And good evening, this is Bob W6CGX, and I'll be your net control operator for tonight's Papa Great Outdoor Net. This net meets every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. Pacific. This is a directed net, so please go through net control at all times, and your cooperation is always greatly appreciated. Stations with emergency or priority traffic can come into the net at any time with a double break, and net control will respond appropriately. The Papa system is an open membership supported system in the Southern California area with coverage from the Mexican border to Paso Robles and from the Channel Islands to Las Vegas, Nevada. If you're a visitor to the Papa system tonight, I invite you to go to papasys.com. That's PAPASYS.com and register as a guest. With your guest registration, you'll have 45 days of free access to the Papa system. At the end of your one-time 45-day guest access period, we'd love for you to become a subscribed member, continue to use the Papa system on a daily basis, and be part of the Papa system family. However, all amateurs are welcome to participate in the daily, weekly, and monthly Papa system nets regardless of their membership status. Again, this is the Papa system, Great Outdoor Net. And good evening. This is Bob, W6CJX, and this is the Great Outdoor Net here on the Mighty Papa system every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. Pacific. Hope everyone's having a wonderful weekend. It was sure nice. We definitely had a nice change in the weather and got a little warmer today. It was a good time to do a little barbecuing, a little gardening, housework, whatever. All of the above, I suppose. Um, Other than that, I guess we're just kind of hanging in there and enjoying the, let's see, it's the last week of February. Wow, where did the time go? Okay, before we get too far down the road, let's take care of the announcements for this week coming up.
Here is the Papa System weekly calendar for the latest news and upcoming events. The Papa Orange County Luncheon. The Papa System will be meeting in person on Saturday, February 28th at 11:30 a.m. at the Sizzler in Fullerton. 1401 North Harbor Boulevard, Fullerton, California. Everyone is welcome. Come on out and meet some of the people who you hear and talk to on the air. We will be offering ham license testing at 10 a.m. for technician, general and amateur extra class licenses. Please RSVP for the luncheon at 11:30 and register for ham license testing at 10 a.m. on the Papa website. As always, the Papa Quick Start program runs in conjunction with all our test sessions and is a benefit for newly licensed technician class ham radio operators. Please see the Papa website for more information. Yuma Ham Fest 2026. The Yuma Ham Fest is back this year on Friday, February 27th through Saturday the 28th. Papa will be in attendance at booths 81, 82, and 83, so make sure to come on by and pay us a visit. This year, the Papa system is asking members to donate their no longer needed ham radio equipment for resale at Yuma. Proceeds will be used to update equipment at the Papa repeater sites. We are also looking for volunteers to help out with the event and make this the best Hamfest experience possible. We are looking for door greeters for the exhibit hall, help at the registration desk, and raffle ticket sales are just a few of the volunteer opportunities. Please reach out to Michael Rickey by email af6fb@papasys.org or sign up on the Papa website if you can help us out this year. The Papa Annual Dinner. The dinner will be on Friday, February 27th, 7 p.m. at Du Bois Italian Restaurant. The seating reservation has reached our limit of 20 people, so a big Papa thank you to all who RSVP'd early. For more Hamfest information, please visit the Yuma Hamfest website at www.yumahamfest.com. All this information and a whole lot more can be found on the Papa website at papasys.com.
Okay, great. Yeah, the Yuma Ham Fest is coming up this weekend. So hopefully there's a few of you going to that. You could let us know that tonight if you're heading out there. Should be a lot of fun. And they've got, of course, the annual Papa dinner there at the Boys Restaurant. Sounds like a great place. I've seen good pictures come from there. I guess before we get into our trail report from Steve this week, I'd like to just say a quick, I don't know, thoughts and prayers out to the 9 skiers that died up in the Tahoe area. Kind of familiar with that. That's where I learned to ski. It was at Boreal Ridge Ski Resort, and that's very close to where Castle Peak was. In fact, that you could see it from there. It was there. And so just, wow, talk about, being prepared. They were. And still, after all that, it just kind of fell apart. But it's Mother Nature. You cannot take too many chances there. So just thoughts and prayers are out to all the friends and family of the 9 skiers that lost their lives in the avalanche. So with that, let's head over to Steve. On that note, let's go on a happier note. Let's go to Steve, KI6LOV, who may have a trail report for us this week of some sort of another. Thank you, Steve, and welcome to the net.
Well, good evening, Bob, and everyone out here on the Great Outdoor Net. This is Steve, KI6LOV. And yesterday, I hiked out to my cabin and to check it out after all the rain and the stormy weather we've had. And I had an interesting encounter with some other hikers along the trail on my way there. And it involves amateur radio, so even a plus there. So when I meet up with people, I seldom have anyone ask about my walkie-talkie I have with me. But this time, a young couple, they said, "Oh, you have a walkie-talkie. What's that all about?" Well, I told them that I access a private repeater in the canyon for security, and I monitor Forest Service frequencies, and I also have a ham radio license, and so I'm ready for anything. And the young woman looked at her husband, glanced over at me, and said, "Well, we both have ham radio licenses as well." And I said, "Well, that's pretty cool." Now, they didn't have radios, which is another story. So I explained that I know the various ham radio repeaters in the area and asked them if they knew about the Papa system. And the young woman said, "Well, yeah. In fact, I listened to some of the nets on the Papa system." And I said, "Oh, you do?" And I said, "Well, I'm Steve, KI6LOV from the New Hamsnet." And the look on their faces was one of astonishment when she says, "I've listened to your net before, but I've never checked in." And I said, "Well, now you must." So I explained to them that they have to check in and make sure and remind me that they are the people I met out there on the trail. And I just thought that was really fabulous. So, my fame follows me far and wide, Bob. I don't know what to tell you, but that was so cool. KI6LOV, back to you.
Well, Steve, does that mean I have to pay you more? You're not up to scale yet, but I guess I need to give you a little bit. I love that when you go places and you're daring enough to take an HT into Trader Joe's, walking around the aisles, and sometimes have it on loud enough so people can kind of just maybe overhear it a little bit. Wonder what this guy with the CIA or the FBI? What's going on here? They always think the top first before they think you're maybe amateur. And then there's been those too, like you say. There's some out there that just look at you like a deer staring in the headlights, going, "Ham radio? Oh, that's what those truckers use." Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've heard of that. Okay, that's not good. Anyway, that happens occasionally too. All righty. Well, thank you, Steve. That's a good report. I like that. Give a little bit of insight in what's going on out there with people walking around that are hams without radios. We got to work on that. So get those people corralled and get them into the new hams net. W6CJX for the Papa system. Great outdoor net. There's what other information do I have? I don't think I have. Oh, the other part of the news, just for those who care, I was able to secure 2 campsites for the Papa Ham Camp this summer in August. And it's campsite 002003, which is this ones we've always used. And those are dates are somewhere on my page. August 17th. This is what it's reserved. You don't have to go then. August 17th, which is a Monday, through Sunday, August 23rd. So that's the way. And it wasn't easy. So if you'd see how difficult it is to try to get reservations, and timing is everything, you'd understand it's like, okay, those are precious reservations for sure. I just thought I'd pass that on to those that want to know and need to know, don't want to know, and maybe want to go. So that would be fun too. If we could get a lot of day people would be fun. Just to get everybody to carry all of our stuff. Okay, let's see. What else do we have? Oh, we've got a learning thing tonight. We can't get away without our learning thing. I think we have Andrew tonight from the Learning Center. And tonight's topic, if you haven't guessed it already, is going to be trekking poles and walking sticks. I know, sounds kind of boring, but if you break it all down and look at the science of trekking poles, it's pretty interesting. So let's have a listen.
Good evening to everyone on the Papa System, Great Outdoor Net. This is Andrew. I will be your research host for this evening. While humans have used walking sticks for millennia, the shift from using standard ski poles to purpose-built trekking poles is a relatively modern development that traces back to the 1970s. The credit for the transition from ski-specific gear to a dedicated hiking tool generally goes to Lecky and the legendary mountaineer Reinhold Messner. The breakthrough, Lecky and the Muckaloo, 1974. Before the 1970s, hikers who wanted extra stability often just grabbed their winter ski poles. However, these were problematic. They were a fixed length, making them awkward on steep uphills, and weren't built to withstand the constant vibrations of hard ground. In 1974, the German company Lecky, led by Karl Lenhardt, developed the Muckaloo, the world's first adjustable trekking pole. Trekking poles are essentially high-tech extensions of your arms that help you navigate trails. Unlike a traditional wooden walking stick, they're almost always used in pairs. Using 2 poles allows you to engage your upper body, which can reduce the impact on your knees and ankles by up to 25%, especially when carrying a heavy pack or heading downhill. They also provide 2 extra points of contact with the ground, which is a lifesaver for balance when crossing streams or walking over loose scree. A walking stick, sometimes called a hiking staff, is the simpler, more traditional cousin of the trekking pole. While trekking poles are built for high-performance hiking, a walking stick is often about rhythm, basic balance, and enjoying a casual stroll. Because they are used one at a time, they don't provide the same weight distribution benefits for your knees as a pair of poles, but they are much easier to lean on. This is just a sample of the history and what you can expect when using trekking poles and/or walking sticks. Thanks, Bob, for requesting this valuable information. Back to W6CJX, Net Control for the Papa System, Great Outdoor Net.
Well, thank you, Andrew. As always, you do such a great job and delivering all that great information. I know I used hiking poles on my second round of hiking. When my first round of, as a kid, I don't think I used anything. When I started going hiking with my daughter, and we actually made a couple of hiking sticks or hiking staffs, whatever you want, whatever the technical term is. And we made them mine was actually out of an oak tree, a whole oak tree, because it was just one little spindle coming up out of the ground. It was so perfectly straight. And so my dad said, yeah, go ahead and cut it. It was on their property up north. And my daughter found a stick, I think, somewhere, and we ended up sanding them down. It was kind of like a little project that her and I had when she was young. And we sanded them down and varnished them and shellacked them and did all those kind of fun things. Drilled a hole, put a piece of paracord through it, so we have something to go around our wrist strap there, and it was pretty nice. I still have them, but then I advanced to trekking poles, and then there's a little story with that, but I'll save that for a little bit later as we get down the line. Let's see who's out there tonight for the Papa System Sunday Night Great Outdoor Net. This is W6CJX Net Control, looking for stations. Callers, come now.
Kilo 6 0 WDG November Golf Adrian und Papa 4.
They're all for Buckeye.
KD6 LLB.
KJ6 GEU.
November 6, Hotel
KO6 LQJ. K6COZ Tom, All-Star. AK6RB.
Alpha Bravo 6, Mike Bravo, Jeff.
November 6, Papa, Chris.
Very nice. Wow, that was awesome. You guys, very orderly tonight. I like that. Okay, I don't think I need to ask for any corrections or anything. It looks like I got pretty much everything on here. I'll fill out as we go. So, good evening to Adrian. How's Adrian tonight? You sound better. That go around. You were just, I guess, on an HT probably or something before into Papa 4. So I don't recall you ever using trekking poles or walking sticks or anything like that. But what's your take on them? And I think they're quite the useful tool. It gives you a nice little arm workout as you're going along. And anyway, I'll leave that up to you. W6CJX Net Control over to Adrian, KK6HNG.
Hey, good evening, Bob, and everybody there on the net. This is Adrian, KK6HNG. And first of all, I think we have all-star issues again for whoever in the technical group is there to hear. So anyway, I'm trying to come on Papa 4 with an HT now. Hopefully I'm doing fine. Now, I also have a trail story, fresh and interesting. Well, not as glamorous as Steve's, but still interesting. And you let me know if you want it or not. But trekking pole first. I pretty much never used it. Even today, I don't use them all the time. However, when I discovered the Sierra, like 2 years ago, I realized they are a must. They are a must for two reasons. First of all, a lot of stream crossings, so they will help. Second, if you have a heavy backpack that happens to be not very well balanced, okay, then it's going to help as well. But unless I'm in these two conditions, I don't think it helps me that much to move away the weight from my knees or whatnot, except for those two conditions. But yeah, I like them, and I use the aluminum type mainly because they will not splinter, so basically if I happen and damage them, they are still usable, even they may not telescopically fold back small, but they still work. So that's my 2 cents about trekking pole. Yeah, they are a useful tool. As for that story, let me know. KK6HNG, back to net.
Well, Adrian, you know we're all about stories here on the Great Outdoor Net. That's what we do, share stories from the Great Outdoors. So if you got a trail story, let's hear it. That would be great. Back to you.
Well, yes, and coincidentally, it's from this Saturday on the same trail where I was going up to Mount Wilson and Manzanita Ridge, and I met Steve, AKI6LOV, coming down from his cabin. So we met there. But that's not the story. The story is that here I am up on the Upper Winter Trail, like about less than a mile from Manzanita Ridge. And out of nowhere, a young lady, I guess, coming, hey, excuse me, I think I'm lost. I said, yeah? So where are you parked? And she told me, well, in Sierra Madre. I say, well, probably that direction you are lost, but this direction where I am going to right now, I think you're good. We should be to that bench, and then you can take back the trail. And she said, well, I think I missed the trail, and I got on the wrong trail. And we started to walk together like that. And I asked, hey, do you have a map of this area? No. Do you have a flashlight? No. So I showed her my favorite mapping app that's called Organic Maps, and I showed her where we are and where his trail is and how much more miles she has to go until then and all that stuff. So she said, yeah, that's interesting. I thought I took a trail run and I missed a turn and I ended up on the wrong trail. It was downhill, so now she had to do it uphill. But hey, lesson learned, a lot of people come unprepared for what they are coming. And that was not ready. While I was sitting on the bench, another guy, much more in the 50s or 60s, came from that trail saying, I took the wrong trail too. So this is KK6HNG, back to net.
You're right. They are not all prepared all the time. People get excited. They're like, it's such a great weekend. Let's go hiking. And they just want to go. They don't take the time to kind of look things and check check weather, check the map, see where they're actually going. Like Steve reported, I think last week or the week before, people just have no idea where they're going. They're just going to go for a hike. And I guess that sounds kind of adventurous, but it could be also dangerous. A lot of times, people get stuck up there during a bad weather event or something and aren't prepared for that either. So, all right. Well, thank you, Adrian. Yeah, it makes sense going on a big hike, let's say up through, the Sierras and things. There's a lot of loose scree, and there's, of course, so there's the stream crossings. And then if you have some of these newer packs like Ospreys, they're not new, but I mean, the newer packs have a kind of a strap on each side where you can actually attach, or I think it's on one side, attach your poles. I used to do that once in a while. Well, thanks for coming in tonight, and let's say hello to James out in, is it Bullseye? I forgot. Deadeye. Okay. Well, let's find out where it is. It's something with an I. I got that. K0WDG. Welcome, James.
Hey, Bob. Thanks for doing the net. Been a minute. The craziest thing about the trekking poles, I've used them on and off for the last 20 years, and I had this whole thing where I said I didn't need them, and then I had my butt handed to me on Santa Rosa Island, packing out 150, 180 pounds of a whole elk cape, like horns, head, and all. And all I wanted was some poles. And I didn't take them because I thought I was just way better than that. And then I learned, hey, they help. When you're way overloaded, they're amazing. And the older I get now, they definitely help out. They're worth it, worth every penny. And it doesn't even matter if they're $300. If you use them one time, it's going to save you all the money in the world. Other than that, weather's beautiful here in Buckeye. Just got back from Maryland and New Jersey. It was a little bit chilly over there, and we're heading into 90 degrees next week. K0WDG, back to net.
Yeah, I saw you guys, the picture. You guys are like a fish out of water over there. What the heck were you thinking? No, I know you were there on business, but knowing who you guys are and how wonderful backwoods guys, and you're in the middle of New York is like, I just laughed a little bit. I wasn't laughing at you. I was just laughing at the combination there. Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, as my second round of my hiking career, I adopted these. I was just buying things, and I wanted something new, and so I got these great. But really cheap. You can buy them really cheap. Hiking poles, trekking poles, and on one of my first ventures out, I was a little self-conscious. I'm like, yeah, I'm an ex-skier, and these are kind of like ski poles, really. Well, of course, the second person I see on the trail, he says, "Where'd you leave your skis?" And I'm like, "Huh?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, back there a ways." Well, I was like, "Well, that's kind of weird." And so then I said, "Well, it's either that we're using these poles and hiking or sitting home eating Fruit Loops watching Woody Woodpecker." So he agreed with me on that one. I won. All right, let's go to Logan, KD6 LLB. Welcome, Logan.
Good evening, Bob, and everybody out there. This is Logan, Kilo Delta 6 Lima, Lima Bravo. So, Yeah, a couple of things. As far as hiking poles, I'm kind of like Cowdog. Well, except I didn't end up under 110 pounds at any point. I don't think I've ever tried to lift anything like that in the outback. But I did notice many years ago when I would go to the Sierras and backpack that there were times when people really looked like they were making better progress and having a better time going downhill under a heavy pack, especially when there are big steps at altitude. It's really hard to take an oversized step under a heavy load, and a pole would really have helped. I didn't have them back then. And I did get some. I've had a few pairs, and the ones I have now are Mountain Smith Pinnacle. I don't know if there's anything special about them. I got them on sale at Real Cheap Sports in Ventura maybe 10 years ago. I could be wrong. So what I've found they're certainly useful for me is I carry them when I expect to cross streams. In particular, I like to go to the Sespe and just hike along the river trail, and part of the deal is just getting across the creek. And sometimes without poles I wouldn't even consider it. It just wouldn't be doable, and with poles it's barely doable and not entirely safe. And other times sometimes you could drive all the way out there and look and just go, okay, well, saw that, and then, what am I going to do now? You just have to turn back. But I carry them when I'm going to the Sespe this time of year, when there might be, I don't know what the river state is. You can look it up online, but I never know what to expect at the actual river. The volume doesn't tell you how the river's spread out and how hard it is to cross. So anyway, that's my experience with hiking poles. I carry them around. I've tried using them hiking. I never had any. I just always end up putting them back on my pack. But if I did find myself coming down a steep hill, I would definitely get them out and for stream crossings. I've got a quick story kind of related to what Adrian and Steve had in their trail reports. So I was digging through some files just earlier today, yesterday, and I took them out, set them on my desk, and looked at them today. And I found some old notes that I had written to find my way back to some trails that somebody had showed me. There's like about 8 of them, and all I can say is I don't even remember a lot of the particulars, but I recognize some of the locations. And I think if I had gone back, if I went back now, I would never find them. But it's really, I don't know, it's worth. My suggestion is, if you're not already old, start making notes about where you go, just because it's really something to look at. And the other thing I found was another piece of the notes that I gathered from people at the trailhead. Speaking of people hiking unprepared, it's really the worst situation I've come across, with a couple of hikers who just really were in way over their head, 100+ degrees, and just all the factors against them. And they were pretty much overdue. And I took these notes to the ranger station, and it was a really hard realization for some of the people that were. Anyway, it was a bad experience, but it's pretty remarkable to come across this note. It's kind of a stunning example, and just remember that really does happen, even to as Bob mentioned, the skiers who probably knew what they were doing and just had bad luck. So but anyway, I don't know. There's probably a lesson in there. I don't know what it is, but stay safe and try to get back. KD6LLB. Thanks for doing the net, Bob.
As always, and thank you. I hadn't mentioned the part about going down the trail, especially like you guys are saying with the heavy pack. I've gone up to almost 60 on an Osprey. What is that? A 85 liter pack, I think. For like a couple nights, but that's pretty much everything. And some water. That's probably where most of the weight was. But yeah, coming down the mountain.
Morons. I've got morons on my team. Nobody is going to rob us going down the mountain. We have got no money going down the mountain. When we have got the money on the way back, then you can sweat. Bingo.
Coming down the mountain is like a whole different thing on your knees. And if you got a couple extra arm extensions that you can dig in a little bit, It's not a bad deal. At some point you have to like say, hey, I'm not as young as I used to be, and hey, this would really help me, and maybe I could hike a little bit further, a little bit longer, and save my knees a little bit too. So that's the other thing. So good points. Absolutely good points. Thank you, Logan, so much. And let's see if we can get a hold of Bob. I know he's out there traveling, the traveling man, KJ6GEU. Bob, welcome.
Hey, Bob. How you doing? This is Bob, KJ6GEU. I'm mobile on Papa 4. Hope I'm making it okay. I have to admit that, as the fact that I do ski, I've had several pairs of poles. I started using them as, occasionally using them as accessory hiking gear after I bent one. Coming down a twisty run up in Mammoth, one of my poles got caught under my left ski, and it bent the end of it. And you can't buy one pole to replace it, so I just bought a new pair and took the old pair home, cut the ends off of them, and now they're a nice height for hiking. No, they're not trekking poles. Yes, they are ski poles, and I've not gotten any jokes yet about where'd you leave your skis, but yeah, I do occasionally use them, like for stream crossing. Haven't done any serious backpacking for heavy packs for years. I just have day packs and don't weigh any more than 10 pounds at the outside, 20 maybe at the absolute most. So, but they are useful for stream crossing, so I will use them for that. And I may actually, after listening to your AI, I may actually look into buying a pair of trekking poles. My knees are still in good shape. I don't have any problems after long hikes, but may look into that. And as far as those backcountry skiers and the avalanche, I put that one soundly on the company that took them out. I mean, they're up there. They know. I mean, they just had avalanche deaths up in Mammoth. Everybody knows about what the situation is, and they took them out anyway. So I put that one on their shoulders altogether. Hate to end up on bad news, but that's what it is. Anyway, again, thanks for doing the net. I always enjoy it, Bob. Send it back to Net Control, KJ6GEU. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think, well, that's where the blame is going to kind of go. Kind of like the diving boat disaster that you probably remember out here on the Channel Islands, where the one of the batteries or something caught on fire, but still the crew definitely was negligent. So anyway, we can't place blame yet, but I would say definitely, probably. And this, what's interesting is all these, most of them were ladies, I think, all had training for avalanche. They had the avalanche signal binders. I don't know, I should know better than that. Locating equipment and all that good stuff. Maybe that actually helped find them, but only unfortunately a little bit too late. And of course the storm. I mean, that's like, I've looked at some different things in Tahoe. I've lived in Tahoe, so I know. But it just gets really crazy up there, especially on Donner Summit. Thank you, Bob, as always. Yeah, and the leaky, I always have called them leaky poles. I don't know why. I think one of the one that the Muckaloo or whatever they came out with has that knob on the top. If you buy just one pole, and you can take the knob off, and it becomes like a mono pole. Beacons. Yeah. Thanks, Logan. Now I can see fine. It's beacons. Snow beacons. So, yep. Okay. Sounds good. Well, thank you so much, Bob. And glad to hear you tonight, as always. I'm glad you are a regular and you're here. Hal, N6HAL. Good evening, Chief. What's up, man? How are you?
November 6, Hotel Alpha Lima. Hi, Bob. I'm doing fine. Thanks for doing the net again. And my trekking pole story is going to be pretty short. I've never had a trekking pole in my hand. However, I do have a hiking stick, a nice one that I purchased in Quartzsite, Arizona, and it was a oak staff, probably 5 feet tall, been sanded and varnished. It's really a nice looking pole, and I still have it, and I still use it occasionally on those few occasions that I do take a hike in the desert. That's about my story. Back to the net, November 6th, Hotel Alpha Lima.
Well, that's why I kind of threw in the hiking or walking sticks, and since I had made one myself out of a single piece of oak like you did, maybe I'll try to bring it to the picnic. It's still a beautiful. I don't know how it turned out so nice. It looked like something you would buy in a store, but I actually worked on it myself, and we did quite a bit of hiking with it. My daughter and I, we took it to Oregon, and her pole or her stick, and up all through the San Jacintos up in the mountains up there. We did a lot of hiking and backpacking up there back in the day. So, yeah, they were a lot of fun. And even with just the one stick, it's kind of fun to have a little extra, like going across the streams and maybe getting up a little few of those steps or something if they have them. So, and I do notice a lot of seniors, as including myself, although I don't use them right now, but I probably will, is using a lot of the trekking poles with the big rubber bottoms on it, which they come with usually, and they use those around the park because like I said, it gets your arms moving and your rhythm kind of going there. And hey, who cares what you look like? W6CJX for the Papa System, Great Outdoor Net. Hal, always a pleasure. Thank you, and good to hear you tonight. And let's say hello to Jeff, KO6LQJ. Welcome, Jeff.
Hey, Bob. Yeah, KO6LQJ. Thank you for doing the net. And yeah, I use trekking poles every single day. I've got a pair of what they call the Activator 2s, and they're those heavy-duty ones that you were just talking about. I've got knees that just give me a problem, so I use the poles every day. I'll be using them this week when I go lead a little geology group around Salton Sea and down to the mud pots and all that good stuff. And yeah, they're indispensable. I got to carry a fairly heavy pack with a couple of laptops and a couple of adapters and all kinds of other stuff for work in there, and it gets pretty heavy pretty fast. So anyway, yeah, indispensable items. And back to net control.
I always figured with the some of them come with little baskets on them, I guess, like look like ski poles, but they make a heck of a weapon. If you don't have the rubber tip on it on the bottom, it's not real sharp. But I mean, let's say a wild rabbit, something coyote comes at you. At a mountain lion, I don't think you wouldn't have the chance to do much, but or you might come across one and they start standing up. I mean, you got these poles, you could click them together. You could, and you've got that just in case, I guess, if something came at you and charged you, not a bear or anything, but yeah, they are kind of a weapon of sorts. So that's good. Yeah, either with the bigger packs and stuff, and you got to load, you got to carry. It sure makes a big difference. I always said they were a lifesaver too. Thank you, Jeff. Always good to hear you, and love your, geology stuff. It's been really fascinating. Let's get a hold of Tom here. I know he's past his bedtime, but I want to get him on the radio here. See if he can. I think he's past his bedtime. Are you going to work tomorrow, Tom? You never know about this guy. He's closing in on retirement. KO6COZW6 EJX Net Control.
Hey, Bob. Thanks for having me. Thanks for doing the net. Glad I could make it in. I wasn't quite sure getting in on All-Star. You know how that goes. But, last time Elma and I went hiking, I brought my hiking stick with us, and it really did come in handy, believe me, going downhill and the slippery slope, and she could able to hang on to it, and I was able to prop myself up, and she could lean on my shoulder, and we made it down the hill a lot better than it would have been without it, that's for sure. Also, last time I did cross-country skiing in the Outback with my friend, teenagers. I think I was the junior in high school. We were on our last run down a hill, and he had a bad dirt patch or something. We were out back, and he ended up breaking both his legs, and his dog was going crazy. And I might have told you this before, but he had to go get mountain ski patrol at a gas station a couple miles away. And a crazy ordeal, but you never know what's going to happen out in the Outback when you're skiing, that's for sure. Back to net control, K6COZ.
Yeah, you definitely don't want that kind of stuff happening, that's for sure. Well, you made up a good point with the well, it was the stick, but still, I was hiking with a hiking group, one of those meetup groups, kind of get me back into hiking again. This is a few years ago, but the I had the poles, and there's several new people out there hiking, so we came to this stream crossing, and we used to have rain and all that. It wasn't that long ago, maybe 10, 12 years ago. And we went across the stream, and I'm like, got my poles. I'm like, hey, I got this, walking on logs and rocks and things. And so I get across, and this gal is one of our hiking partner people. She's like, I can't do this. And I said, sure you can. Come on. And she goes, well, if I had sticks or something like you have, I could probably do it. And I'm like, okay, here. So I went back across, gave her my poles, which then put me in a weird predicament because now I'm on the other side where I started without poles now. Anyway, but long story short, I got my poles back, and then I let her use one of them so that one advantage of having two poles, you can share it with a fellow hiker. W6CJX for the Papa System Great Outdoor Net. KK6RB.
Yeah, AK6RB. It's Rudy, Alpha Kilo 6 Romeo Bravo. And thanks, Bob, and hi to everybody tonight. Interesting story about trekking poles. I had actually trekking poles since my teen years. I'm turning 60 this year. My friends and I did a lot of mountaineering, hiking, and climbing in the Alps. I'm from Germany originally. And my trusted Lekis, they have been with me to the highest mountain in Germany, Zugspitze, to the highest mountain Europe, on top of Mont Blanc, and to the East Alps, the Gime, and many other mountains there. And I brought them with me to the United States when I came over 25 years or so ago. They have been with me also on top of Mount Whitney, and I have to say they have been indispensable. Back in the days, people have been asking us, what do you young boys actually need these poles for? Well, our answer was, we still want to use our knees 40 years from now, and my knees are still good. And I hiked a lot of mountains up and down, and I found them indispensable, in particular going downhill. Most accidents on mountains happen downhill because, get tired, you walk down, and things happen. You don't pay attention. Something happens or so. My pole saved me a couple of times, falling in particular on glaciers. A poke here, a poke there. Oh, don't step there. Go there. And they have been indispensable for me. So, well, these are my stories about trekking poles. I would never go without them. When we were climbing, they were left and right side of the backpack, and that's how it was. And still is, if I do it. Okay, thank you, AK6RB. Back to net control. Thanks, Bob.
Well, thank you. Wow, that added a nice flair to it. I'm partial to Germany. I spent a lot of time there working, and in Frankfurt and all over Nuremberg and Hamburg. I went all over the place, but it was fun. And I'm part German, so that had a good part of that, my family history. Give me your name. I don't think I caught your name for the log, and just really enjoyed your report.
Yeah, my name is Rudy, Rudy like the reindeer, Rudolph, and and the call sign AK6RB.
Okay, well, thank you, Rudy. I think I remember you from before, and I remember the Rudy part, and that you were from Germany. So that's very cool. I love it. Well, don't be a stranger. We need all the information we can. I mean, who kind of would think trekking poles would be a subject, but it kind of is. And like you mentioned, someone saying, what do you young whippersnappers need those poles for? Well, I want to still be hiking when I'm your age. You know what I mean? And so yeah, exactly. It's kind of preventative maintenance, if you will. So that's the way I look at it. Thank you, Rudy. AB6MB, Jeff, San Francisco Bay. Welcome. The San Francisco treat. Jeff.
Okay, Bob. Thank you very much. Yeah, here on the San Francisco area. Yeah, today it was about 65 degrees out. Very nice day. Well, basically, I've never used hiking poles, but the question I have is actually, what is proper technique when you use the poles? Do you put a lot of weight on them? Do you take some of the weight off your feet? Can you explain the proper technique? And I'm not trying to be funny. I'm wondering if the best way to use them. Back to you, AB6MB.
There's a test. No one told me there was a test. Proper technique? Well, I mean, ski poles, I think Bob alluded to a little bit, GEU, that most ski poles are too tall for hiking poles. I mean, I had that idea back in the day, and I could be doing something else. No, I don't want to be doing anything else but sitting here. But I could have been like famous for inventing the trekking pole. Maybe not. But I thought of that, bringing my ski poles and just, why couldn't I just use those? But they're too high, and you need them to be a little bit lower. So the adjustable poles are a lot more useful, and that way you can adjust them to your preference of height. So height is important. You want your arm to kind of come straight down and, like a 90 degree with your arms going out. So your shoulders straight down and then going out to the pole. So you don't want them too high. You don't want them too low. And you can adjust them actually when you're going downhill, because downhill is, man, I'm telling you, with a heavy pack on your back, you can put these things. You got the straps around around your ankles. You got the straps around your wrists, and you kind of put these things out in front of you. And they literally, I don't know if, like you said, put all your weight on it. They could, and if they're adjustable, they could collapse. So you got to make sure they're in good shape. But yeah, you put them out in front of you, and it gives you that, like, it's just amazing. I would not hike today or tomorrow or last year or whenever without them. They're invaluable, definitely, for sure. Let me turn it back to Jeff.
Okay, Bob. Yeah, that's very helpful. Yeah, like I said, I've never used them, and kind of like the technique made me wonder how much weight to put on and that. But I could see, going downhill, I could see how they'd be very nice to have. So, okay, well, thank you. Appreciate that. Keep up the good work here. AB6MB.
Well, thank you, Jeff. I'm trying. We're doing all we can here to just have some fun on a Sunday evening. I mean, Sundays normally aren't a lot of fun. At least when I was working, they weren't, because I was dreading Mondays. So, but if you start your day here, start your week on Sunday, like we're kind of supposed to, or maybe it's the end of the week, but still, it's better, makes Monday seem a little easier. Yeah, I think they're great. Like I said, we were talking about going down hills and stuff. Absolutely. I can just picture doing it. Like I was telling Carolyn the other day, I haven't been skiing for quite a few years, and I did ski after my near fatal motorcycle accident. The bottom line is, with the going downhill with the poles, it does save your knees. Going uphill, it's more or less just a kind of a rhythm thing, and it could help you kind of get up over that little hump or something. But I would say going downhill is probably the hardest on your knees for sure, whether you have a pack or not. It's crazy. And then if you got even good boots, you could hit some like scree or some kind of loose gravel and start sliding down. And, the poles can definitely stabilize that. Well, Jeff, it's a pleasure always. 7 o'clock Friday evenings for the great antenna net here on the Great Papa System. My gosh, I'm going to change my name to Great Bob. N6, Papa, Chris, welcome, and thank you, Jeff.
I apologize. I've been having trouble with my setup here. I won't take your time, as I already wasted it with silence. I am disabled. I use a rollator and an electronic wheelchair, but I had already checked in, didn't want to ghost everyone, and I learned more than I think I would ever have known about trekking poles tonight. So thank you kindly, and I apologize for the silence. N6 PPP back to net.
No problem, Chris. I'm so glad I got you. And yeah, we've been having some funky little issues on the internet side of things, so I think that could have played a part in it. May not be your system too. Well, appreciate it. And well, that's what we're here for, to kind of learn. I look up things that I think would be interesting topics, and I might know something about them, and then I may not. And that way I get to learn too. So it's kind of fun. Do a little research, I really enjoy that. It's really a lot of fun to get these researchers to come on and talk about our subject. It's just very fun. Anyway, with that, W6CJX for the Papa System Great Outdoor Net, we are talking trekking poles and walking sticks or hiking staffs. I mean, it's one of those kind of things. A stick in the hand is worth I don't know. So it was something like that. We're taking more stations that'd like to come in tonight. Please come now.
Kilo 6, Papa Foxtrot, November.
Quebec Hotel, Ron.
Kilo 6, Delta Victor.
Kilo 6, Papa Foxtrot, November.
Kilo 6, Hotel November Golf, recheck.
Alpha Kilo 6, Romeo Bravo, recheck.
Okay, let's see. I think I got everybody except the station coming out on Papa 39, Adelaine mix. You were real scratchy there. I just wondered if you were on Papa 39 and you know it, please come back. Yeah, I just can't pull you out of that. There's too much noise on your signal. Maybe I'll give you a call when I get down the list, and we'll see if we can get you coming out. I can't even really get a call sign to put down. Okay, let's go to the top of our list. We've got John, K6PFN. We've got Ron. No, it's KF4. Gosh, darn it. Accused me of not knowing your call sign last week, and then I did it again. Let's see, Ellen, K6, Delta Victor. We've got Adrian for a recheck and Rudy for a recheck. So we've got 2 rechecks. So you guys hold on. Let's get first-time callers, K6PFN. Say hello to John. Welcome.
Good evening, Bob and the net. This topic is very timely for me. I've had trekking poles for a while, and I don't use them. My son has used them a few times, and they're in the garage. And I'm doing a backpacking trip in mid-March, and I've sort of said this is when I need to really get into that. Just for the aging infrastructure that are my knees and my and ankles and whatever. So I'm going to be just doing some like around the block stuff with the trekking poles to kind of get comfortable with it. But anyway, I missed the first part of the net, but I'll catch it on the archive, which I love that feature about the outdoor net. So thank you for that, Bob. Back to you, K6PFN.
Well, thank you, John. As always. Now if you missed the first part, you probably missed my story about how I took my trekking poles out for the first time, and I was being very self-conscious. I'm like, I'm an ex-skier. It's okay. Now I'm a hiker with poles, and of course, some guy had to be a smart, wise guy and say, "Where did you leave your skis?" And I went, "Oh no, I knew this was going to happen." But I went on from there, and proper therapy and medications, I was able to recover, and I, lived to talk about it today. So definitely take your trekking poles. If you're not going to use them in a certain area because it's just, this is all flat or whatever, hook them up to your backpack, and at least you'll have them. And oh boy, when you need them, right? That's for sure. Thank you, John. And let us know how all that comes out, what your trip was like, and we'll be anxious to hear that. Let's head over to, let's see, I think he's in Cricket Mountain, Virginia. KF4PQH. Welcome, Ron.
This is KF4PQH. Good evening, Bob and Annette. I'm out here in hillbilly Locust Grove, Virginia, and having a good time. It's a balmy 31 degrees Fahrenheit. We luckily have just a dusting of snow. It stayed above freezing most of the day, and we had just drizzle and rain. But north of us, I see it's going real good, and I think I'm seeing reports that they might get up to 2 feet up on Long Island. In fact, right now I'm looking at one of the traffic cams going through Queens in New York City. So trekking poles, we used them quite a bit when we were on the road. I had picked up some, they're no name brand or anything that I know of, but they're carbon fiber. They're very lightweight, but they did the job for us. Had rubber tips on them you could take off, and you had spikes if you needed them. And lately, the way things have been going, my knee acts up, so I don't use the trekking pole lately, but I actually own a cane, so I'm working my way towards that. But you know what? I'm still having a good time. Life is good. But absolutely a necessity, especially if you get into serious hiking and crossing streams, as everybody has said. Highly recommend it. So stay safe out there. Hopefully things won't get too snowy around here, and I'll look at the reports on the TV tomorrow and watch everybody up north. It's going to be fun. KF4PQH 73 back to net control.
Yeah, I was checking that out. There's definitely a big storm. Well, it's they're I guess the guy, someone named it or something, or Horatio or Horatio. I don't know what the name was, but I thought, well, maybe that was the name of like the storm or something. But yeah, that's every once in a while they get those nor'easters, I guess they call them. And man, I was watching some major snow, but we got some major snow up here in our own Sierras out here, and of course we had the avalanche and everything with that, but it was when they closed down Interstate 80, it's snowing. I've been on that many times, and actually they closed it down and you're stuck sitting there in your car or truck. I was in a truck, but you could sit there for many hours and there's no really can't turn around. So it's just one of those things. It's right at Dominer Summit there. All right. No, thank you so much, Ron. It's good to hear you there from Locust Grove, Virginia. Let me write that down. Locust Grove. There we go. And I'll remember that next time. Let's see, through the Lamb Lady. Not the landlady, the Lamb Lady with a B. K6DV. Welcome, Ellen.
Thank you, Bob. I just had another ewe lamb born this evening, a couple hours ago. So I've got 4 baby lambs on the ground right now and another expectant mom in another couple of weeks. So, yeah, I'm just springing lamb everywhere. Something that hasn't been mentioned that might be talked about with trekking poles, and it comes from my background in mountaineering when I lived in Europe, the triangulation effect. A cane supports and alleviates the weight from your hip or your leg as you're walking, but trekking poles and to a lesser degree ski poles are on the triangulation unit. You either have 1 foot, 2 poles, 2 feet, 1 pole as you walk and move with your trekking poles, always creating a stable platform on which to move, which prevents falls. I have a set of Trekology trekking poles about 2 feet away from me right now that I take with me out on the 40 acres when I take the sheep out to do their grazing in the morning. And those poles are invaluable because I'm talking about really uneven ground, lots and lots of rocks, hidden terrain. And so the trekking poles have really been an asset for me. So I'm not embarrassed about them at all. Once you understand there's science behind their usage, you can just smirk at the people who want to say, where is your skis? And know that they just aren't very smart. And this is Ellen, K6DV. Back to you, Bob.
Well, I would say that's a great idea, definitely, because I've seen your terrain, and it's not exactly level, which I wouldn't want it to be, especially with all your sheepies and all their 4-footed friends. So let's see, that would be, 16 hooves on the ground? Wow, that's amazing. Wow, I really love it. Love all your pictures. Keep it up. The videos, just really great. Just so neat to see that and to know you have all that. It's such a great place. Hope to see it one day. And they're just, I know you were a skier too and into hiking with poles. It just, it just seems, it came natural for me. I guess that's the bottom line I wanted to say is going from skier to hiker. I had no learning thing, just other than you're just using them a little bit differently maybe, but they just instantly felt comfortable. And another good thing to have when you have the trekking poles is they make an excellent splint. So if you come across somebody that's racked their knee or maybe broke a leg or maybe even an ankle where they need some support, you can take 1 or 2 poles, put it on each side, and then wrap it with some paracord or maybe some tie wraps or something just to kind of immobilize the leg there. Hopefully it's nothing worse than that. That would be horrible. Thank you, Ellen. As always, appreciate you and good stuff. Okay, moving on. Thank you, Ellen. And let's say hello again back to our rechecks. We have 2 of them. K6HNG. Adrian, welcome back. Got her.
Welcome back. Your dreams were your ticket out. Welcome back to that same old place that you laughed about.
Thank you, Bob. This is Adrian, KK6HNG, and I have two more trekking pole stories. Short. So, story number one. I was asked in the Sierras because I have that rubber covers on my tips as well on the trekking pole. Are you better with those? Why do you have them? And I answered naturally. Sometimes if I cross a river with a lot of rocks under, it gives me better grip. But the most important thing, I don't want to poke myself or my backpack with those tips when I'm not using it. So sure enough, I'm carrying those rubber caps. And the other story, I like to try things. So right now, when I am carrying trekking poles, I'm going to consider a trekking pole tent. Yeah, I know what I'm getting into. I know that it needs a very level area to put it, but you can't beat the basically 2-pound or less weight for a double wall tent if you don't have to carry the skeleton of it. So that's my two stories. KK6HNG, back to net.
Oh, excellent. Good point there. That's definitely on the different long haul trails, the PCT, and then of course over on the East Coast there. A lot of the thru hikers that go on those multi-week, month type trips will do that too. They'll just use their hiking poles for the tent, put it down and stake it down and stick it down. I could think of a song. And just stake it down, and then I'm cracking myself up with that. I don't know why. And you're good to go as long as you don't have any major rainstorms or something. But yeah, definitely kind of fun. Sounds good. Yeah, you're always trying some new stuff, which is good. That helps us out too over here. Thank you, Adrian. Let's go to AK6RB. Rudy.
AK6RB, thank you, Bob. Just got a follow-on the question that Jeff had, how to use poles correctly and if you can put your weight on them. So usage of the poles starts with a proper adjustment of the height. And when you're holding them in your hands and your upper arm is by your side, then your lower arm and your upper arm should actually have a 90-degree angle between them so that the lower arm is parallel to the ground. Having said that, if you go uphill, you adjust them shorter to avoid that when you're putting them in front of you that you're not leaning back and the heavy backpack actually pulls you back so that you fall backwards. And the other way around, if you're going downhill, you adjust them longer so that you're not leaning too much forward if you're going downhill. Now, of course, if you're going uphill, then sometimes you have a part of the trail that goes downhill, so you're not going to adjust them all the time. Or if you're going downhill and then there's a short portion of the path that goes uphill, you're not going to adjust them there. That's just too cumbersome. And then as too far as can you put your weight on them? Yes, you can. I did it many times deliberately, and a couple of times involuntarily, deliberately. When I was going downhill, I put both poles in front of me, and I lifted both legs up and were swinging them in front of me, essentially. So just for fun, or going forward quicker, or going down a step, or something like that. It happened a couple of times of me involuntarily. My feet actually slipped, and I was supporting my entire weight in the backpack with my poles. And then to what I think Ellen was her name, the lamb lady, as you said, it's absolutely correct. You should always have 3 points on the ground and only 1 point moving. So always move only one pole or one leg at the same time. Well, that helped me always a lot and worked for me for many, many long hikes. AK6RB, back to net control.
Well done, Rudy. Bravo. I'll give you the bell. Almost playing the crickets instead. I give a little bell sometimes when people have a really good report. They're all good. Sometimes they just, but that was a good explanation of, yeah, definitely. When, you got a trail that's going up and down and up and down, it's, you got to just find that happy medium, but you still have your poles. That's the main thing. They may not be adjusted absolutely perfect, but at least they're darn close. And if you know it's all downhill from there, and then bring them out a little bit. They just have one of those little clips, most of them. Or you twist them. I don't know which ones I like better. I think I like the clamping ones more than the twisty ones. You twist it because those can come loose, and next thing you know, you're putting some weight on it and it collapses on you. But I guess it could happen on both of them. Anyway, W6CJX for the Papa System, Great Outdoor Net. We're talking trekking poles, walking sticks, and hiking staffs tonight. And we got some good information. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do one last call before we close this down. We'll go a little longer tonight just because it's a good subject and we're having some fun with it. So one more call. We'll do one more little round of stations out there would like to come in before we close it down. Please come now.
KC6ESW.
KM6TUG. KO6COJ.
KO6DGX, I might have doubled.
Okay, there we go. All right, well, on this last round, we got Mike. What did I write that there for? I don't know. Bob. Gotta keep better. We got the KM6TUG. I used to know your name. I'm trying to think of it, and it's not Mike, I don't believe. KO6COJ, Johnny, and KO6DGX, Rick. And let's go up to talk to Mike, that I know it's Mike. KC6. I'm sorry, it looks like an O. KC6ESW. Good evening, Mike. What's going on?
W6CGX, KC6ESW in the net. Great topic. I have not used walking sticks, but I'm finding it very, very fascinating. There is a science to it. And I'm discovering that by you guys talking, so very, very cool. Not a lot to report here, just to kind of kicking back, enjoying our Sunday evening, watching a little TV and listening to the net as well, and watching all the terrible weather back east. Wow, lots of snow there. But you got to love California. I guess walking sticks would probably be appropriate in the snow. Anyway, not much here, Bob. Back to you. 7-3, KC6ESW.
Yeah, well, like I said, a lot of people use them just walking around the neighborhood or at a park. Kind of gives you a little bit of rhythm, and it does, exercise your arms. So you don't really have to be a full-blown hiker to use hiking poles. And, the walking sticks, like are my AI friend there on the front part there of the net, stated that, walking stick is kind of more for rhythm and just that casual stroll through the park. But you can use them, for hiking too. People have used them for years, definitely. We'll say hey to Chris and have a great night tonight. Let's say hello to KM6TUG. Man, I wish I could remember your name, but I can't. But I know who you are. Go ahead, please, and welcome.
This is Wayne at KM6TUG, Kilo Mike 6 Tango Uniform Golf, and I've got a new guy question for you guys that have been using these things. I was on a vacation to Costa Rica and went on a hike with some friends and wish I had a pole. And I came back and I went to REI, which is a well-known camping supply, and I found a pair, and it ends up that when I'm standing properly and it's positioned for me, it's at 110. Well, I kind of like the Black Diamond brand, and they had them 110 and below and 110 and above. And I figured I would err on the side of making it longer than I needed than shorter than I needed, so I could have a little bit more distance, especially going downhill. Did I make the right decision, or is there a no-win?
Thank you, Wayne. I would say you did. just the way you explained it, you can always go longer, but if you're too short, you can maybe never bring it out longer to accommodate going down hills. So longer poles you can always make shorter, and like I said, shorter poles you can't make longer than what they'll let you. Anything else? Go ahead.
No, that's pretty much it. I can't make it any shorter. It's a diamond. It's a steel thing, so I can't make it any shorter. So the shortest I could make it is 110, and that's the normal for just standing there with my arm at a 90. So I figured I'd rather have it be able to go longer for like going downhill. It's my major use is for stability.
Well, you can always use them at an angle too. Like if it's too tall when you're just standing on level ground, you can always kind of put them behind you a little bit as you're hiking. Just kind of wherever it makes contact to the ground, you can kind of, instead of going straight down, you can go angle it a little bit to the back, especially going up hills. That would help. And then going down hills, longer the better. You got to figure it's like an extension of your arms. I always used to think of like being a big spider or something, because you've got your two legs and now you've got these arms with the long extensions on them, and it's wonderful. Yeah, absolutely. That's why I thought it would be a good topic for kind of our spring hiking edition. This series we've been kind of doing, just getting people ready for spring. Let's say hello to my good friend Johnny, K06COJ, up there in Newberry. What's going on, my friend? And welcome to the Great Outdoors.
Thank you, Bob. Good evening to you and the group. I don't have any insight on walking sticks or anything, but I just wanted to check in, and if I could share one of the most incredible hikes I've ever taken in my life. I was 14 years old, and I was invited to go to a place called R.M. Pyle Boys Camp, which is in the Sequoia National Forest. And anyway, the bus dropped us off on the side of the road by a couple of picnic benches, and we had lunch. And then we had to hike back into the camp about 6 miles through the Sequoia National Forest. And what an experience that was. If anyone's ever seen the program The Land of the Lost, that's what it looks like. It's just incredible. Anyway, we had to hike in and out of that place, and it was a 3-week camp, if you can imagine that. We spent a week in camp in orientation, and then we spent 1 week in what they call out camp, which is out in the middle of nowhere, and real camping, storing your food in the river, or the stream rather, to keep it cold, and through all the rain and weather and everything else. And then the last week was spent back at the camp, and awards were given for achievements and excellence. And what an incredible experience that was. But anyway, I appreciate you running the net tonight. Bob, it's always a pleasure. Great topic. Really enjoying all the comments and hearing all the people. By the way, last night I had a great QSO with somebody coming in from Australia on the Papa system, somewhere around 12:30 last night. What a great experience that was, talking to Darren. Anyway, K06COJ, back to net control, 73.
Well, thank you, Johnny. And I hear you're quite the net controller. I've got to get over there but of course, Sunday nights. Not busy for me in any way. But anyway, hopefully I can get over to the Seavark Newbie net. Look forward to seeing you, and we'll get together. What was I gonna say? Oh, great! Yeah, what a trip! What a trip, man! That was really cool. No, that sounds like a lot of fun. At the perfect age where all that stuff really is very impressionable and impact of being able to take all that nature in. I mean, it probably stuck with you your whole life. I mean, that did with me when growing up in the woods and the mountains. I wouldn't have traded for anything in the world. It was awesome, really, really awesome. Put a lot of that heart and soul into you from nature, especially when it's all around you like that. All right, thank you, Johnny, and thanks for coming in. And let's say hello to, last but not least, Rick, KO6 Delta Golf X-Ray. What's going on, Rick? And welcome.
Hey, thank you, Bob, for another great outdoors net and an evening, a Sunday evening, and those walking sticks. My father-in-law, rest in peace, Herb. He used to use those. He was a big guy, and so he was elderly, but they really helped him a lot. I think because of his size and his legs and his knees and stuff, spreading out the load. But I used them a little bit and thought they were very helpful. And I think that for me, they would probably work a lot if I was doing a real steep technical trail. But booting back to that last conversation, Johnny's comment on best hike. Well, I had a lot of them, but real quick, here's this hike. So we were at Mount St. Helens, just me, my wife, and our chow chow, Cosmo. And so we were doing this hike, and so people be respectful. That hikes that go out, that go out and back are a lot safer than loop hikes, because the entire time of the loop hike, you're in unfamiliar territory. So we did this loop hike up there, and we started too late, and about halfway through it, it got dark. We didn't have flashlights, cell phones with lights on them or anything like that, and we had our chow chow. He was pretty good at following the trail, but I extracted us. I only got us out of there because of my experience. When I was 17 years old, I worked for the National Park Service in Tuolumne Meadows and in Yosemite, and so I was doing a job called Trail Compaction Survey. And so we would use this tool, drop it into the trail to study how far it's set into the trail to see how badly the trail is being compacted. But we would do it like 2 feet to the left, 6 feet to the left, to the right, to the right. I very became aware and attuned to what a trail feels like with my feet. And I literally got us out of the woods, out of the dark, by using my feet, because when we got lost, because it was frequent, like every 5 minutes, it's like, where are we? We're in the middle of the North Woods up there by Mount St. Helens in the dark, totally unfamiliar for a SoCal guy. But when I walked left and walked right, you could feel the softness of the pine needles and all that. And then I would hit this hard terrain, and then I would walk forward, backward, left, or right, and I can tell the hard terrain keeps going forward. So we kept, when we got totally off the trail in the dark, following my instinct on my feet, following the hard terrain, and it got us out of the woods. And so that's my story for tonight. Thanks a lot. Looking forward to next week. KO6DJX, back to that.
Well, thank you, Rick. Yeah, I was, when you mentioned the out and back, I used to call it in and out, but it made me hungry every time I would say it or think about it. But I used to love the out and backs type trails as opposed to loops also. I would typically hike, like, be on the trail at like 6 in the morning, kind of watching the sunrise, depending on time of the year and all that. And I figure, I've got all this place to myself. There's nobody else out here. And I take my nice hike. And then, of course, on the way back, there's hundreds of people coming the same direction that you were. But I figure if something ever happened to me, since I was doing like solo hiking, they would eventually find me as long as I stay on the trail. And if something happened, I fell down or whatever, somebody would find me eventually. Oh, that sounds great. That you were able to rescue yourselves and using that method. It's almost like a blind person or sight challenged would have if they were to do something like that and they could feel the trail. That's really interesting. Kind of the Braille Trail. Does that one makes any sense? I don't know. It sounded cool. The Braille Trail. Well, thank you, Rick. As always, you've always contributed greatly to the Great Outdoor Net. If anybody wants to send me a line or message, I've got a website. It's not a nonprofit thing. It's still not making any money on this, and it's cricketmountainmedia.com. You can leave me a message there, sign in, just say hello, and if you have any suggestions for the net. So it's still tied in with the Papa system, sort of, but it's just another way of keeping the separated a little bit, but still nonprofit. So not looking for any donations or anything like that. And I don't sell merch, not yet. With that, what else do I have? Oh, check out this net will be posted tomorrow afternoon. And go hit the archives. I've got a lot of people on Facebook that I've been kind of corresponding with. Non-hams, some of them are, but most of them are non-hams that are just avid hikers and outdoor enthusiasts. And a lot of them have started listening to our podcasts that we do for the archive. And they're just like going, this is great. So I'm going, okay, great. I'm glad you like it. And so that's kind of fun, too. They're sharing with the other part of the community. And you never know, we just might interest somebody in getting into amateur radio and bring them into the Papa system. With that, I'd like to thank Cecil for his legendary leadership. And, of course, everybody that works behind the scenes and the tree toppers, the tower toppers. You know who you are. Thank you so much for climbing those towers, Darren. And then, of course, all the net controllers, as I are one myself, we do appreciate. And all of you, if it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't. I wouldn't be able to fill my page again. Wow, look at that. Thing's already full. That's a good thing. It's a good problem to have. So with that, I'm going to close the net at 21:32. Thank you all again one more time, and say we'll see you next time in the great outdoors.